Dan Foley with PHC News. I'm here at the Taco booth with Mark Chaffee, Director of Brand Marketing for Taco. Mark, this is a big booth, lots of new products. What do you have this year?
Well, it's a really exciting year here at Taco. We have a tremendous amount of new products, new technology. And what we're really trying to do is showcase how we work with folks like you, engineers, contractors in the field, to save resources, control costs, design systems faster, better, more complete, and then the whole education side and all the classes we offer online, in the factory, and in the field.
Mark, as you know, I'm a contractor, and I look at my suppliers and manufacturers as business partners. We have to work together to be successful, and I look at Taco that way. What are some of the new products you have that are going to make me successful?
Well, certainly some of the high efficiency pumps. We've always been known for our pumps. Now we have a whole new line of Verdians. We've really extended that range. I know you've used some on some of the commercial projects or the very large houses that you've done. Now we have a much broader range there. iWorks, really great interface on that side. Easy to get into, all the graphics. Wait till you see that one. You're really going to like that. The education, the classes. You've been part of some of the education that we've done. You've been in class with John Barber. We continue to expand that side of it. So it's really a great breadth of products, education, and some software too with Project Builder. Wait till you see Project Builder.
Well, I can't wait to see some of these products and resources. Let's go take a look.
All right, let's go.
Let's do it. Hello, I'm Dan Foley with PHC News. I'm here at the 2015 AHR Expo in Chicago. I'm with Al Valentino from Taco. Al, I've put in a lot of heat exchangers in my day, but never one this big. Tell me what you got over here.
Well, it's big, but not that big. You know, it can be bigger. What we got here is a plate and frame, the most efficient way that you can transfer heat. We also sell brazed products. It's the same way. They transfer it better than a shell and tube or any other item that's out there. They come in various sizes, from a real small little heat exchanger and that we can use just for domestic hot water heating on up to 12-inch, really huge heat exchangers.
And what are these plates, Al? These are stainless steel plates?
And these are 304 stainless. We use in HVAC. We also offer 316 plates. The also beauty we have is this is a single wall plate in this heat exchanger, and we offer double wall. So all domestic hot water heating jobs, potable water, you usually have to have double wall. So we adapt to that, and we have FDA gaskets for them. And we also can do titanium. So titanium would be like a swimming pool if you needed to do heating in a swimming pool because of the fluoride.
Al, give me an example where you use a product such as this, like a snow melt?
Yeah, we could use
hot water?
we can use heat exchangers in snow melt. We can use them even in like district heating and district and cooling. We can run lines off the city and then run through the heating exchanger just for a condo or some type of operation like that. The big part is heating and cooling in large buildings, and sometimes we can bypass chillers, save the expense of the chiller, and then use the heat exchanger during that time of the season.
I see. I assume you have an engineering staff that can help us design, help us as a contractor design?
Yes, we have. In fact, we have engineering staff and we have a tool. So like everything else we have in Taco, is a tool. So we can come in and just put the data. We only need 5 points of information. One is temperatures, the inlets, the outlets. We would need pressure drops, and then we would need your flow rates, and then we can calculate that. Or you can give me a heat load and your inlet temperatures and outlets, and I can calculate your flows.
So once you engineer it, you just figure how many plates you need, bolt them together.
Thank God for computers, right? Because that's what tells us how many plates we need to do the job. Because these plates come in patterns, all right? So they're not all the same. And depending upon a 2-degree approach or a 10-degree approach, the amount of one pattern versus the other will be different inside of a heat exchanger. So you never want to just open this heat exchanger up without knowing what's inside, because if you put them back in the wrong place, then you may not get the same heat transfer you were getting at first.
Understood.
Yeah.
That's all perfectly engineered into the system.
It's all engineered into the system.
And I've not seen this before. What do we got going on here?
What we're just showing here is that we put an insulation shroud around the heat exchanger, because if it's going to get humid and sweats, instead of letting it go on the floor, we have a drip tray here, and you just vent that to a drain, So it's an option that we have on the heat exchanger.
So is this tray here, this is part of the package, or that's field
That's
provided?
part of the package.
I got
So we give you the tray and all the surroundings. And the nice thing about it is you can take it apart, put it back together again. You don't have to strip it off and then redo it.
Right, it's got clips as opposed to screws or glue and tape.
And the other nice thing is, you see, it's totally bolted construction, right? So unlike buying a shell and tube or some other products that are welded together, what we can do here is if your load changes, we can open this up and put more plates in it. We can reduce the amount of plates, we can add plates.
So it's very flexible. You can
It's very
adjust
flexible, and also if you're at a retrofit, right, and your elevator is only so big, and some units are big, we can disassemble them, bring them up, and then rebuild them back on the job site.
Al, where do you fabricate this? Is this the Fall River facility?
This is the Fall River facility.
And what's lead time on a product like this?
Well, we go anywhere from a 2-week lead time up to about a 6 or 7. And then if we get into some of the big titaniums, they can extend out longer because it takes a little longer to get that material.
So you want to work with your reps and plan ahead for this type of product?
Yeah, we have a whole list of what the lead time is. And we try to make sure we're in the shorter time because time's important to people now. And what they do is they give us less time to get the heat exchangers out. So we got to have the product.
This looks like a good, sturdy product.
It's all ASME, all calculated, finite element analysis. So we calculated to hold the pressure. And this one's good for 150 PSI. And we use a 0.5 plate instead of 0.4 like some people, but the 0.5 plate take a pressure of 230. So it's a very robust
When you say
design.
0.5, are you talking about the thickness of the plate?
Yes, the thickness of the plate.
I got you, I got you. Good stuff. What else do I need to know about this product?
Well, I mean, as you can see, you can just take these bolts off. The most important thing is that we don't torque plate and frames. We have a dimension from the inside of the frame to the inside of the pressure plate. And that's where we need to be. And then what happens is we give about 1%. So if we need to squeeze it a little bit, because these are plate-to-plate contact, and if we over-squeeze it, we can deform a plate. So everything is just dimension and no torque.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah. And the other thing is we can put different liners in the ports. So we do not like to just put carbon steel. Some people will just bolt against the frame. What we want to do is we give you an option of stainless or an elastomer. So if we're using nitrile inside, we're using a nitrile elastomer here.
I see.
And it's all studded ports, and on very small things we're doing NPT, 2-inch and 1-inch.
But this will be like a flange connection then?
That would be a flange connection. And that
Gotcha.
would be your actual seal, right?
I see. Okay.
Here you would have to still buy the gasket to sit on it, but
Sure.
you would bolt to it.
Sure. Good
And
stuff.
ASME tag down here,
I see that? Yep.
and it also this will be where that dimension is. That's really critical.
It's right on that plate.
And there'll be a number on here that, you know, if you have a problem with the heat exchanger, you just click that tag, send it to us. We have all the information of what was done on that heat exchanger.
This looks heavy duty. Al, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Hello, Dan Foley here. I'm back at the Taco booth with Brett Zerba with Taco Commercial. Brett, I've used a lot of the Taco software programs such as HS2. This is a new one. I've not seen this one before. What do we have here?
What we have is our online, through our website, Project Builder software. It allows you to create schedules and get all of your download all of your information right from the app online. So I'm going to demonstrate it relatively quickly, but if you see something you want to ask, please feel free.
Before you do that, can I jump in? Is this geared towards the engineer, the rep, or the contractor, or all?
Yes.
I
All
like
three.
it. I love it.
One size fits all, to be quite honest. We try to make it as easy as possible for folks in the industry, and that was a great question. But if you go to our homepage, taco-hvac.com, click on apps, and you'll notice it's a project builder right here. And the key, or the goal is to create projects online. So you've already designed your project and you want to start selecting your equipment, your pumps, your tanks, your air separators, your heat exchangers. So you click on the PB, right? That's pretty nice and easy to see. And right here, you want to start a new project. Now we do recommend that folks that are going to use it in their office log in and register. That way we can save the information. I'm not going to do that today for this demo, but if you want to start a new project, you just click here and you put in all your project information. So maybe this is a test project as an example, but you can see all of the information that you can put in here, and whatever you put in here is actually going to populate on some of the documents that we end up saving. So as you can see, I just typed in something very simple, and all I have to do is hit Add Project. So now the project's created, and you can see now we've gone to another screen, and any one of those icons right there, you can start selecting some equipment. You want to see what we're going to start, so maybe select a pump. So I click on the pump icon, and this kind of looks familiar for some folks that have used our other pieces of our software. So you would start putting in some design conditions here. So maybe very simple 500 GPM is your flow that you require, and maybe 75 feet ahead. And then you have some other information here that you can start selecting. In this case, I'm going to choose a maybe 1760 RPM motor. And I know I want maybe an FI pump, so I choose an FI, frame mounted. I hit search, and look how quick the information starts coming up. And you'll notice the pumps are by efficiency. So the highest efficiency pump is on the top, so you can look at the details of that. So let me click on that, and it goes to that pump. You can start zooming in on the screen here, see the flow in the head, and then you can start selecting your motor horsepower and other information here as well. Very, very easy. And then when you go down here, you want to add it to a project. You choose which project you want to add it to. Maybe I want to call this P1 as an example. So I type in P1, and watch here. This is very, very important. This saves people a lot of time utilizing this. If I hit Attach Documents, any of these documents, by clicking on it, I can save right to the file folder. So as an example, maybe I want to save submittal data sheet. All right? So now when I hit Update Project Builder, all of this goes into that project we just went to. So
is that saved on your website, or that's saved on the
it's if you've registered, it's saved under your account on our website.
Wow, okay.
So if you're registered under that project name, okay. So that's why it's very important that you register when you start this. So if I go to Project Builder, right? Here's the project and the information, and I can export this, or I can archive this if I was logged in. So if I export it, I want to show you what you get. So let's download that zip file. Right, I could send it to me, I could send it to anybody that I'm working with on a particular project, excuse me. But in this case, I just want to download it so we can see it. That's how quick it was. I could save it. But now I just want to open it, and here's the test schedule that I got. Notice, oops. Remember I had said if we had filled that information in, all of that would have shown here. But if I click on pumps, there's that all of that selection made for you right here. And you can manipulate it as much as you want, and you can go back and add to it, subtract to it, and manipulate it. Share it with your customers or any of the end users that you want.
If this is just an Excel file, you can import it into your own documentation as well.
Yep.
Very nice.
And it's all at the click of a few mouse buttons, really, which is nice. So that's kind of a quick introduction into it. We could go back to that project. We could edit it and manipulate it and change it, update Project Builder, add some notes, or maybe add an air separator if we wanted. So very, very nice app that we're seeing people save a lot of time and getting a lot of feedback from folks like that.
So if you've already done the design on HS2 and you already know, for example, what expansion tank you need, what pump you need, you can go right in there and pick it up. It doesn't need to calculate it for you.
Correct.
You can specify exactly. I got this pump, this expansion tank, this air separator.
Yes, and then you can get all that documentations behind the scenes as well.
And then from there you can print submittals, you can put schedules.
So now we have software that helps you design it and select everything right virtually at the click of a few mouse buttons.
And submit it to the engineer as well, if you're the contractor that's doing it.
Correct.
So that's very powerful, and it'll save me hours of time putting together submittal packages.
That's the goal. That was the thought process when we worked hard behind the scenes putting this all together. And it's all web-based as well.
Now, if you're working, say, with a rep agent and a engineer, they can all have access to this file, and we can all manipulate it together.
You can all share the file. Whoever owns it can share it with anybody he wants to.
Because as you know, on jobs, things change. You've specified one thing, you added a zone, you've taken away a zone, you've added a addition, what have you, so you're going to,
Correct.
the job's going to evolve as it goes on.
Yeah.
This makes it so easy.
It's never first cut, right?
Yeah, you know, but usually you're starting over again and doing the whole submittal package over again. Now you just go in here,
Right.
edit it, print it out, and you're good to go.
Yep. That's what we're seeing people more and more be able to do. So it's been a real win-win for everybody.
Well, I know what I'm going to do when I get home.
Good.
Brad, appreciate
Thanks.
your time.
Thank you, Dan.
Good stuff. Thanks. Hello, Dan Foley here. I'm back at the Taco booth with Chris Keyes, Taco Commercial. Chris, I recognize some of those components here, the drive and the pump, but this is obviously a unique product. What do you have here?
So this is our self-sensing unit. What we've been able to do is characterize the pump curves on these drives. With that, we're able to then follow the system curve based on the system demand. So, I mean, basically is if I close down on the valve here, you'll see that the monitoring starts to fall down.
Starting to go back on the pump curve,
Yeah,
right back
exactly.
on the curve, right. So this is a matched pair then. When I order this pump, you guys have engineered this product together already.
Exactly. So basically when you're on by Taco, we have it all set up so that as you go through, you just supply your head and your GPM that you'll need. From there, we're able to determine what pumps you'll need, and then from there you can select it. When you select it, we'll then go ahead and mount all this at the factory.
So what would be the advantage over just ordering a pump and a separate drive separately and field putting it together? What's the advantage to this setup here?
Really is we take the whole startup procedures out that you normally would have to do with a drive. Normally when you order the drive and the pump separately, drive will come to the, pump will come and then the drive will come, then you'll need the electrician to come in, go ahead, wire it up, then you'll need the drives guy to come, do all the startups for the drive.
And this way it's already mounted, already wired, and already programmed.
Exactly.
It makes it so easy for us to put in.
Most of our customers that order these will just pop them in and then just hit go as soon as the electrician wires it up. They won't even bother with our Pro Balance feature.
And what is the Pro Balance feature? I've not heard of that before.
So our Pro Balance feature, what it is so normally, if you look at the white curve here, you'll see that would be the normal system curve that you'll have when it's ordered from the factory. With engineers, because of not shoring about systems and just their theory, they oversize the pump so much.
They need to make sure that we're going to have the proper flow at design day.
Exactly. So normally we know that you're never going to really get right on that curve. Normally if I open the valve here, what will happen is that it'll ride up on that curve and then it'll start to go ahead and drive out.
Right, you're off the curve.
You're off the curve. Which then just, energy savings and everything goes completely out the window. So with the Pro Balance, what we're able to do, if we come to settings here, this is basically where you can set up for your Pro Balance features, just to make sure everything's correct. So we'll have our no flow head, which we'll just leave at 30 for now. That can be adjusted later on.
Right.
We'll have our GPMs that we want to heat in the system. We know that the system, based off of design, needs to be 150.
Okay.
We'll have a duration time. Normally we suggest out in the field that you do it for 30 minutes. Because of demonstration purposes, we have it at 1:30. And then you would just hit save. And so if I exit out of that, so with the Pro Balance, we'll see now that it's out on the curve.
Right.
As soon as we hit start, so what it's going to start doing now, whoop. There we go. Yeah, okay, so everything's in auto on. So now, there we go. Now the balancing is coming up. Basically what it's going to do now is it's going to switch this drive into our constant flow. From there, we know that constant flow is 130 or 150 GPM like we had it set. It'll then go ahead and measure what the actual head is. Because we have the pump curves programmed in, it knows that at 150, it's actually at this head instead of what was designed for.
So you're measuring the system that it's actually installed in.
Exactly. So normally we'd recommend that you have everything open in the system, all of the valves and everything completely wide open, so that I can get an actual measurement of the system.
I see, okay. So I see it starting to creep over to the left now.
Yep.
And that's where the savings come in, by bringing that curve back over to the left.
Exactly. So basically what you're doing now is you're balancing the system. Normally, the old days, you'd have that curve, and then as it rode out, you'd have someone crank down on the MPV until it came back up onto that curve, and then you would just follow the curve as it varied its speed. There's no more need for that anymore. You can just leave the MPV open, and so now it's balancing the system. The pump itself is balancing itself and getting to know what the system's doing.
Instead of imposing an artificial load, it's ramping back down.
Exactly, which in turn creates more energy savings because you're not putting any more strain on the pump than you need to.
Right. I can hear it spooling down even yet.
Yeah. It's going to come down in hertz. It's not going to be rampant.
So as that's doing that, Chris, tell me what applications we'd use this in. Would it be chilled water, hot water? Where would we use this product?
Main applications is both chilled water and hot water. For the quadratic curve, which we're showing here, that's mainly for a primary loop. Secondary loops, we do offer a constant flow. That's mainly what they'll be used for, is for that.
I do a lot of big geo projects where I need flows of 80, 100, 120, 200 GPM. Would this work in a glycol-filled geo application? Would that be a good application for this?
Glycol, not so much. It'd have to be a water mix. One reason of that being is because when we characterize these pumps in the lab, we use water. The glycol properties would be different, so we're not too sure of how the pump would react to a glycol situation.
Understood, okay. But yeah, chilled water, hot water are good applications.
Chill hot, they're fine. When it comes to glycol, because of the different friction properties, because the pump basically, what happens is that when we're in the lab characterizing the pump, we'll take 10 points at 60, 10 points at 40, head and flow, then we program those points into the pump.
And it's based on water.
Exactly. And it's based off of the amperage usage, and that's how it determines of where it needs to be, based off of settings.
So what are we looking at now? What have we done here?
So the one balance has been completely successful now. Yeah. As we look now, you'll see that the gray curve was the specified curve that came from the factory. After the Pro Balance, we realized that the head really didn't need to be that much at all. So now the white curve is the new Pro Balance curve. If you look at the self-sensing Pro Balance, we'll see that we're at a 29% energy savings compared to if we were at the specified performance and cranking down on the MPV, we would have only been at a 6% energy savings.
Substantial energy savings, especially in a big application where you might have multiple pumps like
exactly.
This looks like a real nice product. I like the fact that it's pre-mounted, pre-wired. That makes it so easy for us, the contractor. Yep. I'll have to give it a try. Chris, appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it. Hello, Dan Foley here. I'm back at the Taco booth. Rick Termel. Rick's in charge of Taco Electronic Solutions, and we're here looking at the iWorks. And Rick, I'm familiar with the iWorks, but it looks like you've got a lot of new features that I haven't seen before.
Excellent.
Tell me what you've updated, what you've changed.
What we've brought is a brand new graphical interface system, the LCI4. So what the LCI4 allows you is a much easier to use user interface, allows you direct access to controlling your system in a very app-friendly format, but can also be used to do complete graphical representation of your system. So now you have dynamic graphics, you have moving fans, pumping pumps, so you can see the actual system status live from any web-able device. So it's very focused on any type of tablet. It can drive an HDMI TV, so you have complete flexibility in how you want your interface to be to you. It does not have to be your laptop, but it could be. But most commonly, it could be any type of tablet, your smartphone. Now you have direct connection to your system 24 hours a day.
Rick, are these graphics, are these templates, or are these something that you custom design per job? How does that work?
Actually, it's quite interesting. We have a setup wizard that actually walks you through each individual controller. And as you make selections, like for instance, how many stages of cooling you have, you are actually customizing the graphic running in the background. So when you're done coming through all of this, the graphic will actually modify itself to match what you've now just selected. So if I didn't have an economizer, the economizer dampers would go away. Absolutely.
So this is on the air side, you do it on the hydronic side as well.
Absolutely. One of the big things about Taco in the controls industry is that we are very focused not only on the air side, but of course on your boiler plant. So if you had 1, 2, 3, 4 boilers, the boilers would come in, it rescales itself. Multiple pumps will show 2 pumps. So we tie all of your hydronics with all of your air in one seamless system.
And the beauty of this is you can remote activate, look at this and see what's going on in the system before you send a technician out to the job.
Absolutely.
You see whether the pump's on or off, the temperatures are, that sort of thing.
Absolutely, so you have direct access to alarming, you have complete access to all of your schedules, you have trending for all of your information, so if you wanted to see how that unit was performing, you have dynamic graph trending, you can actually sort right in on exactly what you want to look at, and it auto rescales, so now you have all of this ability without ever having to lift a button or touch any programming in any way.
Right,
So everything is completely
built-in data
recurring.
logging capability. You don't need separate data loggers. If you got a problem job, you can see exactly
Absolutely.
what's going on.
Data logging of temperature information, BTU information, everything is available through the front end.
Right. And what else is new? I understand now you can access this information on a laptop or a tablet. You don't need the interface on the wall. Is that correct?
Absolutely. In 2015, we're all very focused on our smart devices, right? So we've really designed the LCI4 to be as compatible to those devices as possible. So whether you're using it on your iPad or your Droid-based device, or even your small smartphone, everything rescales so it looks great on your screen. So we're very focused on that versus having to be tied to a PC that runs the risk of failing in the field. Now, all of the smarts reside in the LCI4, and your tablet is your interface to it.
And Rick, when will this version be released, or has it already?
It'll be June, July this year. It'll be in full release. We'll be doing releases in certain regions of Taco reps earlier in the year, and full release right around the beginning of third quarter.
Well, that's great. I've got a couple projects in mind where I could use this technology. I look forward to working with you on this.
Well, it's backwards compatible, so if you put in an LCI 3 now, you can absolutely replace it with a 4. All of our devices are forward and backwards compatible.
Beautiful. Rick, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Hello, Dan Foley here. I'm back at the Taco booth. I'm with Doug Bird. He's the Senior Product Manager for Circulators at Taco. Doug, I recognize some of the pumps here. I've used a bunch of these Viridian pumps, but I don't recognize any of these. Tell me what you got here.
All right, what we're displaying today is a whole family of Viridian circulators. They're all ECM, all high efficiency permanent magnet rotor. So we're going from smallest of the VR, 1816. This has 18 feet of shutoff head and 16 GPM max flow. This is a VT 2218, 22 feet of shutoff head, 18 GPM. The difference between the two is that this is varies speed based on pressure. It's a pressure differential circulator, so as system pressure changes, the pump will speed up and slow down. The VT, T standing for temperature sensing, it uses two sensors, one in the supply, one in the boiler return, and varies the speed of the pump to maintain a fixed delta T across the system. Now the VT has an additional LCD screen here which gives you feedback display for the mode and setting that it's in. The watts are being used and the supply and return temperature. So it gives you constant feedback at all times. Now the VT also can be used for set point. So if you want to do a fixed temperature out to a system, you can use one sensor and set the temperature on the pump to one temperature, and it will speed up and slow down to maintain that one temperature. Or you can set it for fixed speed. So if you want to use it for, let's say, on an indirect water heater, you can just set it to one speed and it will run at that one speed all the time. Now on the VR, back to the VR 1816, again, this operates on pressure differential, but it has a little dial here on the front where you can change the operating mode from either a min-max fixed speed to a constant pressure, so you'll always get a constant pressure differential system, or to a proportional pressure. So it depends on which mode, which application you have, you can set it to 3 different operating modes.
Doug, let's say I had a residential project using this pump and say maybe 3 or 4 Sentry zone valves. Is that a good application for this pump?
It could be a good application. What we recommend in that application is setting on constant pressure. So it has 3 settings, so 5, 10, or 15 feet constant pressure. So for example, 007, which everyone's familiar with, you might want to set that to a 10 feet shutoff head. So it'd be a great application for zone valves, zone sentries application. Or you could use the VT 2218, again set the delta T for 20-degree differential temperature, and the pump will speed up and slow down as the zone valves open and close, and your demand on the system changes.
Doug, another common setup we might have would be European panel radiators with TRVs on each head, where it's not open or closed, but it's constantly modulating between open and closed.
Right.
What would be the better pump to use in that application?
Good question. The way to handle that, we recommend the proportional pressure. That's the other feature here on the side. It has low, medium, or high settings. So you could set it, for example, in medium proportional pressure, so as the thermostatic radiator valves open and close, the pump will speed up and slow down to maintain a constant pressure or a proportional pressure through the system. So as those thermostatic radiator valves are constantly modulating, the pump will modulate speed accordingly.
And this particular pump has an ECM permanent magnet motor as well?
Well, they're all ECM,
right?
Yep, but DC motors, permanent magnet rotors, so they're very efficient. All of them are high efficiency. For example, this will operate as low as 4 watts, from about 44 down to 4 watts. The VT operates between 9 and 58 watts. So on an average heating season, it might operate somewhere around 20 watts, say on average. So it's a huge electrical savings from a standard efficiency permanent split capacitor circulator.
What if I have a commercial system with, say, a BMS input to the pump? Will either of these pumps take a 0 to 10 volt signal?
This one will. This is our VR 3452. It's new out this year. This particular setup has the 0 to 10 module in it. So there's 2 inputs here. You bring your 0 to 10 volt signal, and it will vary speed based on 0 to 10 input. Okay, this is our VR 15. It's also Viridian family ECM circulator, permanent magnet rotor, very efficient. But this will get you a range from about 150 gallons up to 350 gallons. This particular model is our 1.5" VR 15, but it goes up to the VR 30, the 3-inch flange. This is all web-based. You can program this thing from your laptop, and you have constant feedback back and forth from the pump. You can monitor the settings, the output, and feedback from the pump. So this is for very large commercial or a very large residential or commercial applications. This would be light commercial, large residential, and then again, this would be smaller residential applications.
Doug, when are these products going to be available? I know this one's available, but when are these going to be available?
Yes, that's correct. The VR 15 through 30, they are available now for a couple of years. This is available currently in the Northeast. The VR 16, 18, 16 will be available the end of the first quarter, early second quarter this year. This will be later in the year, maybe the third quarter of this year. And this is due to come out second quarter this year. So these all be phased in over the next 2 or 3 quarters.
Well, I can't wait to give them a try.
Well, they're great circulators. They operate great. They're quiet, very efficient. So have fun with them.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Doug.
You bet,
Good to
Dan.
see you again.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.